Welcome to our regularly scheduled monthly meeting of the Board of Zoning Appeals. The BZA members are volunteers and receive no compensation. We are appointed by the City Commission for staggered 3-year terms. Under state statutes, the BZA hears 3 types of appeals. This evening, all of our appeals are dimensional. For dimensional non-use variances include sign variances. The appellant must show a practical difficulty complying with dimensional requirements of the ordinance. It requires 4 affirmative votes, and as I mentioned, all the appeals tonight are dimensional. You need 4 votes. We have a full board, so 4 out of 7. We also review use variances and appeals of interpretations of rulings of other building officials or other boards regarding zoning. Our procedure is all comments are to be addressed towards myself, the chair. Please wait to be recognized. City staff will make a presentation regarding the appeal and take questions from the board members. The appellant is then invited to speak and present their case. Only one person will be allowed to speak to address the board. I can make exceptions if we need a technical support from an architect or an engineer or something else. Members of the public are then invited to come forward, identify themselves, and provide their comments to the board. Hearing is then closed. Motions from the board are entertained and acted upon. In all cases, this is not a popularity contest. Granting or denying a variance is based substantially on the appellant meeting their burden of proof. Can we please call the roll of the board members?
John Miller.
Here.
Kevin Hart.
Here.
Carl Corona.
Here.
Eric Morgenroth.
Here.
Jason Canvasser.
Here.
Dick Lilly.
Here.
Ron Reddy.
Here.
Don Rogers.
Here.
I'll now call the roll of the appellants. Do we have someone here for 495 Vinewood?
Here.
Thank you. Do we have someone here for 270 South Glenhurst?
Here.
Thank you. Do we have someone here for 1155 Webster? 1155 Webster. I don't believe they're going to be online, but we'll check further in the meeting. And then we have 309 Arlington.
Here.
Thank you. And then I've been told that we have some additional information needed for the 1061 Forest, including some additional advertising we need to do for maybe another variance. So that case will be postponed tonight and scheduled for our next meeting. I see we have 2 letters about the appeals. Jeff, are there any others?
No, that is, you have everything in front of you.
Very good. Gentlemen, before you have the minutes of the last regularly scheduled meeting, do we have any amendments or do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion to approve in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved. Nothing on Zoom. All right, sounds like we have our first case tonight. We have appeal number 25-24 for 495 Vinewood, and City of Birmingham will, Mike will present. City of Birmingham.
Hi, Mike Morad, Assistant Building Official for the city. Appeal number 25-4024. The owner of the property known as 495 Vinewood requests the following variance to replace an existing driveway. Chapter 126, Article 2, Section 2.08.1 of the zoning ordinance requires that a single-family residential lot shall have a minimum open space of 40%. The minimum open space required is 5,665.60 square feet or 40%. The proposed space is 4,352 square feet or 32%. Therefore, a variance of 1,142.60 square feet or 8% is asked. The applicant purchased his home in 2022 and is requesting a variance to replace an existing driveway. The home was constructed in 2000 and the pool in 2001. So if we look here at the top picture, this is the existing, what's there now. All the green is the pervious area, and we're talking about this driveway right here. They want to replace just this driveway, the entire thing. The bottom picture shows what they are proposing, which basically is the same thing with the same existing driveway they want to replace. But they are proposing to mitigate these orange areas and turn them from impervious to pervious. So they are actually lessening the amount of impervious surface they have. But they are wanting to pour the exact driveway the way they have it now.
I don't think I have any questions. Anybody have questions for? Please.
Do we know what happened assuming in 2000 or 2001, it was compliant, and then something along the way happened?
My guess is some of these areas got added in, either probably not permitted at the time. This is prior to these couple owning this home.
Great, thank you.
Mike, one other question. I was wondering, the area that is to the right of the driveway that drives under the kind of freestanding overhang,
Yes.
is that space wide enough for a car to fit? And is there any other purpose that that area serves that you can think of that would be a
It
reason
does
why?
look like it's tight. I'm sure you could get a car through there, yes.
I think there's a picture of the car. Is that the area?
That area, but going around it.
Oh, on
To the
other-
right of
right
it,
of
yeah. Just
Completely
wondering.
scaled it at like 11 feet or something.
Yeah, I couldn't tell.
So that's wide enough to get a car through.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions for Mike? Seeing none, who's going to come and speak on behalf of this appeal?
Good evening. My name is Matthew Glakowski, representing the clients at 495 Vinewood,
Can you tell us your,
Trellis Building Company.
okay, and your address, please?
My personal address is 4206 Arlington, Royal Oak.
Perfect, thank you.
We would just like to request, as kind of Mike illustrated there, to replace the existing driveway as it sits in the current footprint. And, you know, we offered to mitigate and add additional green space as more pervious surface. Just to kind of maintain functionality of the driveway. I think you can see in the picture where if there is a car parked in that area, you're still able to have one car go around and access the garages.
So cars do and can go around that
Cars
area?
do and can go around that,
Okay,
and
thank you.
they access the car on the back of the property that way, or the garage on the back of the property that way with the car.
Based on the other board members' question, do you know what the history is of how this property was compliant and now it's over in terms of the,
We
Impervious?
don't, they purchased the home a couple of years ago, and this is the driveway as it sat when they purchased it, and it's began to degrade quite a bit. It was an old stamped concrete driveway with some pretty gaping potholes in it now.
and can you kind of tell us, besides the fact that, of course, the homeowner would like to replace what's existing, what is the hardship to not conform to the ordinance and actually find other areas that are not functioning, whether it be around the pool or the entire patio? Like, in general, if you're going to make such a large change, the ordinance requires you to be within the ordinance, and what you're saying is we're replacing it and don't want to make any additional changes. I hear there's mitigation, but are there other areas you could use to try to get closer to what the ordinance requires?
I mean, the way the pool and the pool deck is laid out, there's not a whole lot of area. Obviously, with the size of the lot there's not a lot that's not house currently. So to maintain function in all of those outdoor areas, it'd be difficult to remove much hard surface.
Very good. Questions for the appellant? No questions? Very good. Thank you. In the audience or on Zoom, anybody have a comment about this particular appeal that they'd like to come up and comment on? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Gentlemen,
Mr. Chair,
sir,
I'd like to make a motion, please.
please.
So I'd like to make a motion with regards to 495 Vinewood, Appeal 2524. I would move to approve. We have a pre-existing non-conforming driveway that clearly needs to be replaced by the evidence that's presented to us. I think because of the conditions applicable to this property, it's pre-existing non-conforming. The ordinance that's strictly applied wouldn't allow the appellant to actually replace a driveway that's in need of service. I think literal enforcement of the chapter would result in unnecessary hardship, i.e. they wouldn't be able to replace their driveway. I don't think granting the variance would be contrary to the spirit or purpose of the zoning ordinance, and obviously it would result in justice to the neighborhood by having a new good-looking driveway in place. I would tie this all to the plans presented us tonight, and I would move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. We have a second. We have a second from Carl. Any discussion? seeing none, we have a motion to approve. How do you want to do this?
We can do a roll call, it don't matter.
Okay, so can we please call the roll?
Ron Ready,
Yes.
Carl Prona,
Yes.
John Miller,
Yes.
Kevin Hart,
Yes.
Jason Canvasser,
Yes.
Dick Lilly,
Yes.
Eric Morganwell.
Yes. Congratulations, you have your variance. Our next case this evening is appeal number 25-25 for 270 South Glenhurst.
Mike Morad again to plead this case. Appeal number 25-25. The owner of the property known as 270 South Glenhurst requests the following variance to construct an attached pergola on the rear of the home. Chapter 126, Article 2, Section 2.06.2 of the zoning ordinance requires a minimum rear yard setback of 30.00 feet. The existing is 2206, so the proposed is 7.50 feet. Therefore, a variance of 22.50 feet is being requested. The applicant is requesting a variance to construct an attached pergola on the rear of the home, which extends into the required rear yard setback. This house has a irregular shaped lot, and a variance was granted in 2022. The minutes are attached. Okay, you can see the shape of the lot. It angles on a pretty severe degree here. So the backyard has been, shrunk down, and they were granted a variance for the house here. This blue line here represents where the 30-foot setback was, and you can see the existing home is into that. The pergola here, they want to extend further back into the back, leaving the 7.5 feet back here. And then we're doing outdoor kitchen. The remainder of this, it fits within the zoning ordinance, but the pergola itself encroaches into the rear setback, which would require the variance.
So Mike, if they put the pergola, not to say they want to, but if they wanted to put a freestanding pergola in the deepest part of the lot, would they need a variance?
They would have to be 10 feet from the house to do that. They would have to be 10 feet away and be an accessory structure.
And then they could.
Then they could.
And the pergola is being attached to the home, but it's an open pergola, right? So it's not like it's protecting you from rain or anything like that, right?
Correct.
Very good. Questions for Mike? Mr. Ready?
Mike, where would a freestanding structure be able to be placed in the yard?
The only place that you would be able to get this particular structure size would probably be like something back here in this vicinity, because it'd have to be 10 feet away from.
From the existing home, correct?
Correct. And there'd be, depending upon the DTE, I don't know if there's a DTE lines back here, there'd be a clearance from that. So that could be anywhere from 5 feet to 7 feet. That would be required possibly to be back off that back line also.
And I can't tell from the drawing on the right-hand side of the house, what are all those squares? Is that just pavers there, or is that a sidewalk?
Patio blocks.
Okay, patio blocks. Okay, thank you, sir.
Mr. Canvasser?
So if they took away the structure, they could still have the patio, they still could have the kitchen.
Yes,
It's the vertical pieces that we're talking about.
that's correct.
Okay. We're not talking about any lot coverage issues. We're not talking about impervious situations.
Correct.
We're just literally talking about the vertical pieces. Okay.
Yes.
And then, I think you asked this, but there's no cover, there's no sides, it's all open.
It is an open structure, yes.
Okay. So is it just decorative? Is there any purpose? Do we know?
I mean, it provides shade,
Okay.
but
So Mike, it really isn't is it the verticals or is it the roof? It's not really the vertical pieces, right? It's
a pergola still is the same as building a closed roof. It still has a roof, whether it has gaps in the roof or not.
But if they wanted the 4 posts with American flags on them, they could do that. So it's more of the vertical pieces on the roof that creates a roof that's creating the issue.
The horizontals, I mean,
The horizontals,
Yes,
exactly,
correct.
not the vertical.
correct.
Right. Okay. Mr. Cono?
So the hardship here, as stated, was the lot angle. But looking at the drawing, if this was a square lot, they'd still be in violation, right? Because if you went straight across the 30, from the left-hand side of the drawing, where the 30-foot mark is?
It would, yeah, that would still, because the rear setback line is right here. Yes. So if this lot just squared off, they would still be into the rear setback.
All right, thank you. Because the previous appeals were for building a second story on the existing non-conforming. Now they're trying to make it even worse, right? Right.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Any other questions for the city? Seeing none, who's coming to speak on behalf of this appeal?
Good evening, members of the board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. My name is Jason Armbruster, and I am one of the associates for Great Oaks Landscape. We're located at 28025 Samuel Linden Court in Novi, Michigan. I'm here representing my clients, Damian and Jennifer Kavanaugh. We're requesting a variance from the rear setback requirements at 270 South Glenhurst. The hardship we're facing is that the lot is unusually shaped, as you can see, and due to the way the subdivision is currently platted. The house itself was constructed on a footprint foundation of the previous tri-level home, which does not conform with the current ordinances. Because of this, it's difficult to propose compliant structures that will work in the back of the property while meeting the full setback requirements. We have minimized the impact as much as possible from a functioning perspective, as well as the impact to adjoining neighbors. We have located the structure out of the only door that exits to the rear of the home, where the line is there, where the pergola is coming out. In addition, this is a tri-level home and comes with lower level and upper bathroom and bedroom windows to consider, which is on the left side of the pergola if you're looking at the house the way it is now. We've minimized the overall size to make sure that the layout's functional while keeping it in harmony with the surrounding homes. Granting this variance will not create any adverse impact on any neighboring properties. The lot to the north and west of the property is an irregular shaped lot as well, encompassing most of the portion behind my client's home. Basically, the whole rear of their house as well to the north, which is to the right of this design here, is all owned by one of the neighbors, Dr. Kenneth Bergman. The proposed structure will consist in scale and appearance with the neighborhood, maximizing distances between the neighboring houses. We've also spoken with, like I said, nearby neighbors, Dr. Bergman, who is the major owner that is surrounding my client's home, and also the neighbor to the south of them has basically said, we love what you're doing and would go forward with everything. We reviewed all possible alternatives, and this option provides the least disturbing to existing site features and maintains compliance with all other zoning requirements, including setbacks and lot coverages. We're committed to making sure the final project aligns with the intent of the code. And that's where we're at right now, if you'd like to have any questions for me.
So do you have a scenario or any scenarios of a version of this pergola that does not require a variance?
So the structure that we're having now, it does open and close. It's a retractable pergola. So the goal of the pergola was to that when they exited out of the home, that it would be covered if they decided to cook or barbecue when the weather was raining. I'm sorry, what was the question one more time?
Is there a version you presented to your clients to create this covered space, relatively covered space, that did not require a variance?
We did. We talked about, even when Mike mentioned like putting it up in the upper corner, and even with that variance, it still didn't work in the upper corner because it still doesn't meet the restrictions of what you guys have set for setbacks in the upper corner. And having it that far away just didn't make sense to go cook and to lounge and so forth, coming right directly out of the main house, which is where most patios are. You enter out of your back house and then you're entertained, versus walking all the way to the back corner of the file house just didn't work for them. So even if it didn't have a pergola and was just a patio, I would still be here having to request a variance because it doesn't follow the rear setbacks.
A patio, because it's not flat to the ground, or because, is there,
It just doesn't meet the rear setbacks.
Mike, is that accurate? I don't believe if it's flat to the ground, the rear setbacks.
No, that
are-
patio could remain there without the variance.
Right, so you could get the patio as long as you didn't have the horizontal structure.
So either way, we're looking for the vertical structure to come out, and we talked about adding it behind the, just to the left of where it's currently sets now, but it would interfere with the viewpoints of the windows that are there, because it's a tri-level, so it has lower windows, it has middle windows. If we built the pergola structure anywhere there, the window, it divides your line of sight out of the windows with the pergola structure, so it just didn't make sense. Not just aesthetically, but it also then is, closer to the neighbor's yard. We centered the pergola structure basically in the middle of the yard to not disturb the neighbor to the north or to disturb the neighbor to the right. It just made the most logical sense. They also don't have any neighbors to the west of them. That is all double lots that the one neighbor to the north has purchased and is part of his property now. So when presented to my clients, it just, even as from an overall design perspective, made the most sense that it's where it's at.
No, the aesthetics make sense. The challenge is it's an existing non-conforming house that needed a variance to
Right.
be built.
And that's the difference.
And now we're adding more structure in an area where structure can't be built. That's the challenge. I think that's why you're here.
Yes.
Other questions for the appellant? Mr. Canvasser?
How deep is the pergola?
So it stretches the spans of the house, which is about 22 feet, and then it projects into the rear yard about 16 foot.
Would it be possible to minimize that projection and still have it serve the same function?
Well, I can't minimize it any to get within that one dotted line there, because this is, basically this was drawn on a 1/4-inch scale. So when you look at that, there's like a 4-foot opening to get up onto the structure, which leaves very minimal space for any sort of, literally any sort of like outdoor furniture would be very cramped. Even the area to provide just even a couple bar stools was tight. We minimized it as much as possible with the consideration of how we're going to be using this space, even with a sectional sofa or chair. It's meant for lounging and for entertaining and cooking. So it made sense with what we're looking at furniture-wise.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for the appellant? Seeing none, did you or your client explore previous requests for pergolas, either in cases where they exceeded lot coverage or they were in this rear setback from previous cases that we've had in the last 5 years?
We did not research that.
Because there have been many,
Okay.
and, we've made comments about you could put up a large, umbrella-style covering for a season because it's a temporary structure. We've had people come in with awnings that project off of the roof, many other things, people that had medical issues and wanted coverage for sun exposure, other things like that. And things into the rear setback have been a challenge for us as a board.
We've had
for a long time.
some experience with using like sunshades, umbrellas, so forth like that. It just doesn't provide the ultimate cover for the cook station as well as the lounging area. So by having the retractable pergola where it can open and close, they are ensured that their furniture is not going to get wet and they can still cook out there at any time.
No, I mean, the function of it serves just as you're intending. It's just bigger than what the ordinance allows for. And when we look at a variance based on a practical difficulty or a reason, this doesn't have to be built. And so, the question is, why is it being built and why aren't we following the ordinance as everybody else that's required in Birmingham? So we have to figure out, is there some reason that the ordinance can't be followed? And the answer is it could be. It just isn't being chosen to because this is the ideal location with the ideal size, but not relative to what the lot will accommodate.
That's a fair point, but when we think about how we're going to planning on using the space in general, we viewed it more as an expansion of their inside space because their inside space is also somewhat small. So expanding that out just felt like an extension of their home. It was trying to make it feel like it was a bigger space than what it really was. Not that we're just putting up a pergola for a random reason. They plan on using this space as more kitchen, more eating, more dining, more everything that's associated with that.
I get it. It's a great design and it's beautiful, just the lot doesn't allow for it, right? Very good. Any other questions for the appellant? Seeing none, thank you for your presentation. In the audience or on Zoom, anybody not affiliated with this appeal that would like to comment on this appeal? Seeing none. Gentlemen? Anybody have, oh, Mr. Conisar.
I'll make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to deny the appeal on 270 South Glenhurst, Appeal 2525. The conditions of the appeal is based on the irregular lot size, and from what I can tell, even if it was a square lot, it doesn't comply with the requirements. And as we've discussed, this isn't a necessity to build this patio. It is a feature request. And for that reason, I don't believe there is a special condition to pass this appeal. I don't believe it is an unnecessary hardship. This is a expansion to an already non-conforming property, and I don't think it is required. The spirit of purpose of this ordinance is to restrict the construction of additional structures, and I don't think this is violating that. And by granting the variance, I don't believe there is a substantial injustice to this property. They will still have a beautiful patio to enjoy, and I don't think that this pergola is required to still enjoy the property. So for those reasons, I move to deny this appeal.
We have a motion to deny. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Any discussion? Mr. Miller?
Yeah, I can't support the motion because I think that this, even though I understand why it was put forth as stated, I think that this is a pretty reasonable request given the house and the neighborhood. And again, the irregularity of the lot, it certainly wouldn't set any sort of precedent. So for those reasons, I would not support the motion.
Any other? Mr. Hart?
I think that this is a unique circumstance with the trapezoidal property geometry. The tri-levels and quad levels are really hard to deal with when you put structures in front of the stacked window, or where you've got like kind of like a half basement and half sill at grade type of configuration. So I see the challenge of trying to put it somewhere, like if we moved it to the south, it would be, it would remediate somewhat, but it's a very difficult property, and it's a very difficult house to add something like this to. And they should be able, I think they should be able to do something like this on this particular house, but seeing that as being kind of a unique circumstance, I will not support the motion.
Any other comments? So I will support the motion. I agree that a lot has a challenging shape, but as Mr. Kona pointed out, even if the lot were not trapezoidal, they would still require a variance. And every lot has limitations in Birmingham, and the rear and front setbacks are fairly sacred to our ordinances. And this is an arbitrary meaning it's not a need. A trellis system in general does not provide anything but shade. It sounds like it might be a one that can be pivoted to be covered, but not every lot in Birmingham will allow for covered space. I live in a home where I don't have enough lot to do it, even though I would love to do it. I think it just comes down to the lot doesn't really accommodate it. It's an existing non-conforming home, so we're actually taking that existing non-conformity and adding to it, which also is something we tend not to support. And if the lot shape is not a factor when it isn't relative to if it were square, that a variance would still be required, that can't be a basis for me to decide that a variance is justified. So for that reason, I will support the motion. We have a motion to deny. Can we please call the roll?
Carl Crona,
Yes.
Ron Ready,
Yes.
John Miller,
No.
Kevin Hart,
No.
Jason Canvaser, No. Dick Lilly?
No.
Eric?
Would you repeat that?
No.
Said no.
He said no, okay.
You just left with me?
Eric Morgenroth?
Yes. So the motion to deny did not pass. We have 4 noes, 3 yeses, so we need a new motion. I'm assuming it's going to be you, sir, so go ahead.
Motion to approve 270 Glenhurst, appeal number, what appeal number is it? 2525? Is that, yeah. I believe that this pergola seems to be a reasonable addition to the backyard of this existing home. I also believe that the discontinuity with respect to the ordinance is caused by the lot that is very irregular with respect to the other lots in the neighborhood, and that the existing house already sits in a non-conforming position. So because of all this, I think it causes an unreasonable hardship for something that is a reasonable request in this appeal. I think that because of the special conditions applicable to the property in question, the provisions of the existing ordinance, if strictly applied, unreasonably prevent the property owner from using the property for this purpose that's being requested. Literal enforcement of the chapter, I think, will result in an unnecessary hardship in this case. And again, this is a very unique case. I don't think it sets any sort of precedent going forward. And granting the variance, I think will not be contrary to the spirit and purpose of the ordinance, and will result in substantial justice to the property owner and won't have any negative effects on the adjacent properties, as reinforced by the letter we also have received. And I would tie approval to the plans as submitted.
Very good. We have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second from Mr. Canvasser. I assume no discussion is necessary, so can we please, oh, you do have a discussion, please, Mr.
I just want to make a comment. We have denied these in the past, the reason being that we did not want to set a precedent for this. The applicant still would be able to use the patio without any issues or asking for a variance, and those are my concerns why I'm not in approval of this particular motion.
Very good. Mr. Canvasser.
Yeah, I could go either way on this one, and just to be clear, we're not setting a precedent by making this decision. This is a unique situation with the lot, and we look at every case on a fact-by-fact, case-by-case basis. To me, the fact that they could have a patio, they could have pretty much whatever they want. We're talking about open structures. I mean, if this is enclosed structure, I think it would be a different analysis. Lean me maybe 52-48 in favor of this, but again, we're not setting any precedent here, so I'll support the motion.
Yeah, I mean, I get your point. I just want to comment. The city sees these pergolas as a completely covered structure. That's something that can be debated with the city commission. I think we've always had that discussion. Is it really a structure? If it doesn't have a real roof, it can't protect from rain, even though this one can pivot. So I get your point. I'm trying to be consistent with other decisions we've made, and that's why I will not support the motion. We have a motion to approve. Can we please call the roll?
John Miller?
Yes.
Jason Canvasser?
Yes.
Kevin Hart?
Yes.
Kyle Corona?
No.
Ron Redding?
No.
Dick Lilly?
Yes.
Eric Morgenroth?
No. Congratulations. You have your variance. Yep, enjoy. Do we have someone here for 1155 Webster? Thank you, sir. So our next appeal is 2526 for 1155 Webster. Your turn.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Andrew Erickson here to present appeal number 2526. The owner of the property known as 1155 Webster requests the following variance to construct an addition to the rear of an existing home. Chapter 126, Article 2, Section 2.10.1 0.2 of the zoning ordinance requires that no side yard setback shall be less than 5 feet. The existing is 4.70 and the proposed is 4.50 feet on the west side. Therefore, a variance of 0.50 feet is being requested. The applicant is seeking a variance to construct a rear addition to an existing non-conforming home that was constructed in the 1940s.
Can you just kind of outline for
Sure.
everyone's paying attention where
It's
this?
right here.
Yeah.
This is the side here, that's the 4.50. I'm sorry, it'd be 4.50 feet. This is that setback side here. And then it abuts a commercial property.
What's the highlighted yellow area on the back or the top? Or is that just my eyes thinking it's highlighted yellow? Yeah, right there.
No,
What's
he
that?
has something.
It's yellow.
Does that have anything to do with the variance?
No.
Just to distract us from the variance? This yellow area?
It calls out the setback.
All right. Very good. Questions for the city? Seeing no questions, gentlemen? Very good, no questions. Sir, it is your turn. Come on up.
Chairman of the Board of Appeals and members of the Zoning Board of Appeals, so thank you for reviewing the variance I'm requesting. So
Could you just tell us your name and your address, please?
Larry Bertolini, 1275 Webster. I am the architect for Lori and Byron Woodard. They've lived in this residence, owned this residence quite some time, and they'd like to have a one-story use of their space and add a great room to the back. And you can maybe go to the slide showing the floor plan and see the existing to the left and the addition, showing the kitchen, the great room with the kitchen, an island, and some seating for entertaining. Part of the problem we've came across was a portion, 7.5 feet of the back portion of the house did not have adequate foundation, so we'd like to demolish that and extend the bedroom. And beyond that, go 23 feet. This is a unique circumstance, in our opinion, that the lot setback line tapers from the front of the house to the back. So if we're planning on aligning the house and avoiding jogging the addition, can we look at the elevation, please?
Mm-hmm.
So this is just going to be it's basic box for the addition. And so again, the bottom right elevation, if you can scroll a little bit further, shows the wall that is about, I think, around a 3-inch at the right side of the line, and it turns out to be roughly 6-inch variance. That also allows a little bit of play from the survey. The survey recommends not to be exactly on the, in case of some, you need some tolerance, but the intent is to align it with the existing house. To the west of the house, there is I'm sure you've all visited the site, but there's a commercial building, so it doesn't really negatively affect that neighbor. And we feel that this would be the simplest and most desirable way to add an addition to the house. Again, when you look at the floor plan, it does not allow for a lot of social space or public space for having guests over. And so it's an important aspect of the house that the owner would like to be able to enjoy. We feel that this is going to add value to the neighborhood, add value. It's going to be a nice addition. And feel it's unique due to that setback in the existing house, due to the angled lot line and the way the existing house is positioned on the site. Let's see. We feel that, strict, to conform with the ordinance with this, to strictly conform with the ordinance, that we prefer that we be granted some leniency on that. So I think that's about it.
So, of course, if you did a jog, whether you did a jog on both sides so it was symmetrical or not, if you did a 1 or 2 foot jog, you wouldn't need a variance. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
And are you using a 2x6 wall or 2x4, and what the thickness of
It'll be-
the siding? Is there any impact on any of those things?
No, it'll be a 2x6.
But that's coming in, not really out, right? In terms
It's
of
all going to line up.
line up. Very good. Mr. Reddy?
Sir, this is a pre-existing non-conforming house from the 40s. Was the house just slightly skewed on the lot, and is that what's causing it to drift over to the property line? Or is it the
Yes.
fact that the initial survey was wrong?
Now, if you look at the survey, you can enlarge it.
This one?
No, that's the site, here it is.
Oh, that, okay.
Okay, so you can enlarge that towards the back and see the setback in the front of the house, at the front, can you make it zoom in a little bit? There you go, perfect. So there's the setback line, that dashed line. So the front of the house is slightly off. And then if you follow that line up,
okay.
you'll see that it's pretty close at the beginning, and as you go towards the
Okay.
north,
And so that's why you needed 6 inches?
yes,
Okay,
towards the very back, at the very back.
thank you.
Any other questions for the appellant? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
In the audience or online, does anybody have any comments about this particular appeal that they'd like to mention to the board? Seeing nothing online, nothing in our audience, we'll close public comment. Gentlemen.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Reddy, sir.
With regards to Appeal 25-26, the property known as 1155 Webster, I would move to approve. This is a pre-existing non-conforming home dating back from the 40s. The house is slightly skewed, and in order to make this addition harmonious with the rest of the house, it's drifting slightly, approximately 6 inches towards the property line. I think that there are enough special conditions here, specifically that this house dates back from the 40s, and that the house is slightly skewed on the lot, that if strictly applied, wouldn't allow them to build this addition. I think literal enforcement of the chapter would, in this particular case, based on the circumstances, result in unnecessary hardship. I think granting of the variance would not be in contrary to the spirit or the purpose of the zoning ordinance, and I do think granting of the variance would result in substantial justice to the property owner and the property owners in the area. I would tie this completely to the plans as presented us tonight, and for those reasons, I would move to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Mr. Miller had a second.
Yeah, and a comment. I would also like to add that I don't believe that there would be any negative effect at all on the adjacent property, which is a commercial parking lot, which is directly adjacent to the requested appeal.
Very good. Yeah, did you tie it to the plans, Ron? didn't.
I did.
Okay. Any other comments about the appeal? Oh, excuse me, the motion? Seeing none, can we please call the roll to approve?
Ron Redding,
Yes.
John Miller,
Yes.
Kevin Hart,
Yes.
Carl Crona,
Yes.
Jason Canvaster,
Yes.
Dick Lilly,
Yes.
Eric Morganrow.
Yes. Congratulations, sir. You have your variance.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Final appeal for the evening is 2527 for 309 Arlington.
Andrew Erickson, here to present appeal number 2527. The owner of the property known as 309 Arlington requests the following variance to install a generator in the side yard. Chapter 126, Article 4, Section 4.30N1 of the zoning ordinance requires the placement of standby generators shall be limited to the rear open space only at a location that is 5 feet from any principal building or accessory building with habitable space in the rear open space. A proposed side yard location is being requested. This was a new home constructed in 2023. There was an interior renovation that was completed in 2025. The applicant is now looking to install a generator to the home and is seeking a variance for location in the side yard.
Mr. Redding, excuse me, Mr. Canvasser, please.
Yeah, in the applicant's letter, it states that during the permitting process and beginning of construction in February 2023, the generator location was allowed within the side yard setback. During construction, the building contractor installed the electrical panel, electrical conduit, and gas supply to the generator located within the side yard setback on the north side. They were tested, and then the electrical and gas were tested, inspected, and approved. Do you have any insight as to?
So the zoning on generators changed at, I'm not sure of the exact date, but when the home was constructed in 2023, the side yard was an acceptable location.
So did their original plans contemplate a generator? Is that why all these conduits were installed? And I mean, if we take this, I guess, at its face, approved?
There was no location ever approved for the generator. There was
Okay.
no permit ever applied for back when the home was constructed in 2023.
The letter from the fire chief says March of 2025 is when the new zoning ordinance came into effect.
Right, and I can ask the applicant, I'm just trying to figure out why there's electrical conduit and gas and everything else that were installed and tested and approved, if this wasn't part of an original plan, and you know, because I think it's important for us to understand whether or not this was part of something that was considered in 2023 and just not installed, or if this is something that was contemplated and is now just coming to us, to the city, I should say, for the first time since the change in the ordinance.
And how long is a permit valid for if it was approved and then it was never installed?
Right.
A permit is good for 180 days, before like an inspection would need to be called.
And then you have to re-request a permit, and the new ordinance would apply if you had to apply again.
If you already had a permit secured for it, and you could renew the permit, but if there's no permit for the generator at that time, it fell, the permit came in after the time frame.
Any more questions?
No, thank you.
Mr. Kona, sir?
Back to the permitting issue, if a rough inspection is inspected and approved, nothing is done, the permit expires, and then the final inspection is done, but code is changed.
Are you thinking about just a generator, or are you talking about anything on a code change?
Well, just between like a
building code
rough and a
changes-
final type of inspection.
If a permit is secured, like on a new house, let's say, and the code changes, the home is built under the permit it was reviewed under. Okay, so the generator permit was not pulled for this until after the date of the ordinance change. The electrician and/or the mechanical contractor may have had the openings on their permit, which would have been done at the time the home was built. But there was not a permit for the generator.
Okay.
There was never a generator permit pulled.
Right, I'm just thinking about other issues where you do the roughing of anything.
Right.
And then the final inspection is done, and then between those times, code changes.
If you have a home that gets started under the 2015 Michigan Residential Code and the code were to change, the home would still be done under that code. But if a trade permit came in after the code change, that would follow the new code.
Right, okay. So, and regardless of that, it sounds like the issue here is that there was never a generator permit. They might have had the electrical permit pulled for unknown reason to have gas and electric there, but there's no generator permit.
That's correct.
Thank you.
And we've had testimony in a previous case for this particular issue, and the fire marshal has submitted a letter along with this appeal about the dangers of carbon monoxide and why the code has changed, right?
Yes.
Any other questions for the city? For Andrew? Seeing none, who's speaking on behalf of this appeal, please?
Good evening. My name is Mike Yeager. I'm from Skillform Architects. We're located at 460 Hilton Road in Ferndale. I'm accompanied by Andy Race from Thomas Siebel and Associates as well.
So just for a second, only one of you can speak on behalf of this case. So if you're standing there to support him, feel free, but you won't be able to testify.
Right. I'm going to have Andy speak because he's got more history on this than.
So you're going to choose to have it be him in total?
Right, correct. Yeah.
Very good, come on in.
I probably have to defer to Mike as well. My name's Andy Race from TSA. This house was a spec house.
Give us your address too, please, for TSA.
35990 Woodward.
Perfect.
In Bloomfield. So this house was a spec house. It was built by Great Lakes Building Company. And back when it was built, a gas line was run to our generator location. When the homeowner bought the house, they assumed that's where the generator was planned to be. Anybody would if they looked at that and they looked at the electrical panels in the house. So once our homeowner bought the house, Artie White, the electrician, pulled a permit that said electrical work and generator. 30 years of working in the city, they've put generators on alongside the house for years and years. So they pulled a permit. They had electrical underground inspection done for the conduits going to the generator, which I have the tag in my phone. It was approved. Then when we went to pull the gas permit for the generator, Andrew caught it, flagged it, and called me and said, hey, it's an issue. It can't go where you're proposing to put it. In the meantime, the homeowner and us, we assumed it was allowed to go in that position, and we landscaped the entire yard. So there's hundreds of thousands of dollars of landscaping that went in because we assumed the generator was good to go where the gas line was, where it was inspected and approved years ago, and where the underground was approved by the city. And we're not trying to throw anybody in front of the bus, but we're just trying to say, we feel like we're caught up in the transition of this rule. Even the inspector didn't catch it. So the underground is all in place today, and the panels are there, the gas line. So now we're in a pickle because if we put the generator where it's allowed to go, it's cutting right through extensive landscaping.
Right, and it sounds like, from what I'm hearing, that the actual permit for the generator was submitted and pulled after the ordinance changed, and regardless of what was on the intended plan from the original submissions, those were old, and if there was never an original generator permit submitted and approved, and then maybe extended if it had to be extended, that you're under the new ordinance. And so the new ordinance, according to the fire marshal, has to do with safety, has to do with carbon monoxide, has to do with, as you know, the ventilation and the ability for carbon monoxide to penetrate the homes. And as a board, the liability over modifying landscaping or cutting a tree down or whatever is necessary, I don't know how it impacts it, is hard for us to look at it and say, it was implied you could do it, so let's forget the ordinance.
Well, one thing I'll say is I sat here tonight and I thought about it, and I know we're not there, but Bloomfield Township were required to put them within 3 feet of the house and on the side of the house for the last 35 years that I've been working there.
We are not here to change the ordinance. That's the city commission and the fire marshal. We're just here to enforce the
You know,
ordinance.
our owners disappointed that for years and years, there was no special generator permit required. We put it on our permit application. It got approved on our permit application in June. It got inspected and approved.
They're off.
The generator conduits, the underground
Right.
generator conduits. So our question is, why is an inspector out there inspecting them and approving them if that's not where it's allowed to go?
It's a valid question.
And then, you know, that it gets approved, and we're out there with 20 men landscaping for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Right, so I'm sure you were told the criteria for which you have to appeal, right? Well, what is the practical difficulty? Why can't you abide by the ordinance? It sounds like you're saying we did a lot of work and we shouldn't be forced to redo that, and that's more of a discussion with the city than it is with us. But is there a reason why you can't move the conduit, adjust the landscaping, and put the generator where the ordinance allows?
Well, we would have to open cut the yard to get the conduits in and the gas lines in, and we would lose the trees are as big as this ceiling in this building. So we'd be cutting right through trees with machines.
All right, let me see if there's other questions from the board members. Mr. Canvasser?
Yeah, I have a couple questions. And this may go back to the city. So if I'm looking at the map correctly, is the generator 5 feet from the, I don't know what room, it looks like it's like an alcove, right? Like is it 5 feet from one wall but up against, what is it? I can't tell there. Like it's 5 feet here. And is it this measurement that's the,
And then I have a screen wall that looks just like arrows.
just trying to,
Measurement arrows?
yeah, can you go back, yeah, right there. Can you zoom in on that?
73.
Is that better?
Yeah, so so that yellow blob is the proposed generator, correct?
I believe that might be the pad of the generator.
Okay, which is 5 feet from whatever that wall is measuring 33.29, correct?
On the left is the garage and on the right is the house.
Okay, so it's
Where it's
5 feet
east.
from the house, correct?
Correct.
And is it, so is the variance not from the house but from the garage?
I believe it's the rear
Yeah, it's
setback.
from the rear of the house.
So what's the measurement there?
It would be 43 feet 10 inches.
If you zoom out, I was confused on this as well because they have to send it all the way back south of the patio behind the rear yard line.
So that's, yeah, I guess that's what I'm trying to figure out is where it needs to go. It needs to go, it would need to be moved back 43 feet.
From the proposed location.
The generator needs to be completely in the rear yard and 5 feet behind that. So
Okay.
the covered terrace there, that is the back, that dashed line is the back of the home. So he is in the rear yard and it's more than 6 feet, 5 feet from any portion of the home
Okay,
in that location where that rectangle is.
okay. So, I mean, I understand the fire marshal's concern, and I could see a scenario where a variance could potentially be granted, but I guess what I'm not understanding is, so how close are we to the living quarters? Because that seems to be, when we're talking about safety and carbon monoxide,
5 feet.
We're 5 feet, which is what the ordinance requires at a minimum.
Technically, the ordinance requires you be 5 feet from any portion of the structure, meaning overhangs also. So I'm assuming there's an overhang on that. So technically, where that exact placement is not 5 feet from any portion of the structure.
But if that's just the pad,
That
depending on the
depends on
size,
where the
they could
generator
offset.
sat on the pad. We don't have that information on there right now.
And then just a general comment, because we're hearing a lot about landscaping. You know, if you'd like us to consider, or at least from my perspective, if you want us to consider the landscaping, not saying that would be dispositive of how I would vote one way or the other, I think it would be helpful to have a landscaping plan to be able to understand what we're talking about. I I mean, unless I'm missing it, I don't see anything on here that would show me, this extensive landscaping, which I'm sure exists, but, just, it's hard to consider something without actually seeing it.
You see where it says allowable generator location?
Yeah.
There's a semicircle of 4 rows of arborvitaes and cedar trees there that are probably 10 foot tall. So there's like 4 layers of landscaping for privacy.
Sure. My point is, though, we don't have anything in front of us. I don't have any pictures. I don't have any plans.
Well, that isn't the only location, right? That's the closest point from the structure. It's anywhere along that dotted line. But I'm guessing if you have 4 layers there, you have 4 layers across
It's
the
packed
entire
all the way
break.
across the backyard. Yeah.
Just for clarification, if you moved it to the south this way, along that dotted line, you would have to go back further? Because when you're by the covered terrace, that's still part of the primary residence, you'd have to be
5
the
feet
5
from
feet
that.
from any portion there,
Right.
just for information's sake.
I mean, I would think in general, you'd like the generator as far from the house as possible, just for the noise that it creates, but that's just my personal, that's not necessarily mean they have to do it. Let's see if there's any other questions for the appellant. Any other questions from, please, Mr. Harris?
Yes, thanks, Mr. Chairman. The ability to, some of the newer directional borings and everything, have you thought about what that would take to run gas line using a directional boring from the outside?
So we would be in the middle of the driveway with a boring pit, and, yes, we do directional boring a lot, and I know what the costs are involved with that as well.
Yeah, I can imagine, I know. But you're saying the driveway, if the gas...
We would have to cut a boring pit into the driveway, and so we would lose part of the driveway, which it wouldn't then look patched. It's a brand-new driveway. Then we would have the cost of the directional boring, which is...
But I was thinking from the allowable generator location to the gas, I'm assuming that's the north side of the living space. Could the gas line it's not going to matter whether, you're not going to have to go all the way to the street. You could go from the existing gas location to the new allowable generator location with the
See where in
directional
the
boring.
yellow it says 9.11 or 9'11"? That's where the gas is stubbed out of the house.
Right.
So we would have to directional bore from that 9'11" to the new generator location.
So it wouldn't affect the driveway then?
We have to dig what's called a boring pit to do directional boring. So you have to dig a hole about the size of a car so you can dive the pipes into the bore. So it's the price, directional bore would be about the price of a small car.
My experience is you can directional bore without a directional, we pulled the gas copper lines and without having to do that, and then even PVC. So
We do it once a month. For 30 years, I've done directional boring with Corby.
well, there's this kind of new stuff, but I mean, I've seen it done.
Yeah, we've considered it.
Okay.
It's cost prohibitive.
Yeah,
Thank you. Mr. Hart, are you? Yeah. Mr. Reddy, I saw your hand.
So one of the purposes of this ordinance, at least in my mind, is they don't want it in a side yard because of noise, is the other issue. I mean, first of all, we got the fire marshal saying it's a bad idea, but then the other issue is the noise. My house, the generator is right there and the thing is noisy. And so, I mean, I think that's one of the reasons, it's not my neighbor's generator, but the bottom line is, I think one of the reasons that the ordinance is in place is because of noise.
So I would say a lot of the communities, I agree with you, they force us to keep it inboard from the neighbor's property line so the neighbors aren't suffering and the owner of the generator is suffering. So it's their problem.
Yeah, with air conditioners and generators.
Correct. And a lot of the cities were forced to do like decibel readings at the property line so the neighbors aren't suffering from our generator. And I understand the reason for the, for the new ordinance. Part of me asks the question, the fire department must be getting these calls from the alarm services. And part of me asks, can we just simply turn that notification off? We do have, and this is a unique situation, but we do have 24-hour security at this house. So it's not like an alarm service is going to be calling the fire department.
I mean, I don't want to speak on behalf of the testimony from the last case we had, which I think was last month or the month before, but from what I recall, and we can look in the minutes, there was discussion about the fire people having to go in with respirators to pull people out of homes that had passed out from carbon monoxide, and that they didn't even want to send people in the homes for that danger. So I did not hear about, unnecessary calls that's taking up time for other emergencies. I heard life-threatening potential for city employees as well as homeowners. So again, I'm not here to testify on their behalf, but that's my recollection of what was stated. And in our history of our board, cost impacts of having to redo things because of changes of ordinance or new ordinances has never been a factor for us providing a variance. This, cost, even though obviously it's an impact for your client, is not a factor we consider in approving a variance typically. I saw Mr. Conan, I'll go back to Mr. Canvasser.
Two questions, one for the appellant. You claim that you had a permit for the electrical for the generator, or it was just electrical and it was assumed it was for a generator?
No, so R.D. White is the electrical contractor. They're a big residential electrical contractor that's worked here in the city probably every day for the last 35 years. They have probably installed 200 generators in your city. Historically, all they've done is filled out an application that says generator. So that's what they did this, I want to say June. They filled out an application that said miscellaneous panel work, adding low voltage at different locations of the house, and adding a generator. They received a permit. Then they installed the conduits to the generator location in the yellow and got the green tag or approval in that location. So at that point, on our end, we're doing studies with the gas company, getting the meter sized appropriately. We're landscaping, full tilt, steam ahead, thinking everything's good. Nothing flagged us, did anything different until we went to pull the gas permit, and that's when Andrew called me and he had caught it.
Okay, thank you. So for the city, the previous code was to have it at least 18 inches away from the building. Is that correct?
5 feet.
No, prior to the 5 feet, because that changed, right?
No, the manufacturer's specifications say 5 feet from any windows, and then whatever the working distance was on the generator directions.
Right, windows, but from the building itself, it was shorter than that, wasn't it?
I think 18's if there's no windows.
Yeah,
or
okay.
openings.
So it's moved to 5, and then now it's not just 5, but it's also 5 and the rear?
Correct. You need to be in the rear open space.
So those both change at the same time?
Yes.
Okay. So, and the other reason I'm asking these questions is it sounds like the appellant was approved and eventually found that the gas was the flag for this issue. But in the code, it also states that non-conforming standby generators may be continued to be maintained and provided. So the generators that are already installed and in violation can continue to be there unless it's deemed by the fire department to be, a hazard. So I'm just trying to understand and balance what has happened. They're still providing the 5-foot distance, but we're not at the rear side, rear setback of the yard.
I mean, it sounds like Mike is saying it has to be 5 feet from structure, so if there's a 8-inch overhang, and again, this is the pad, not the generator, so maybe the pad could be expanded or it could be moved. But if the permit submitted for the generator is dated after the change of the ordinance, then it's only the rough ends that were put in, but never a generator permitted. So I guess it is kind of a gray area is what we're saying.
Right.
Mr. Camp, oh, sorry.
No, thank you.
Mr. Canvasser, back to you.
Yeah, I think Mr. Kona touched on it in a minute. So I guess I want to verify, number one, the 5 feet that is being proposed on this drawing. I know that's to the pad, but What is the distance when you factor in the actual generator, the overhangs, and everything else? Do we know that?
The generator's approximately 3 feet wide. It is, and the pad is not poured yet. It is formed, and all the conduits are brought into the pad. So if I had to push the pad over 6, 7, 8, 12 inches, I could do that. Or I could also push the generator over on the pad.
Okay. Because I think there's two concerns, right? The first concern is the proximity to the house. That's a clear safety issue in the eyes of the fire marshal. And so if, just as an example, if that line on the screen where it says 756.67 was the back line of the house, the allowable generator would go 5 feet back because that would be the rear yard. Here, we're really looking not so much as a distance from the structure, but the fact that that distance is in the side yard. And so to me, we denied a generator, I think at the last meeting, because it was too close to the principal structure. That was a safety concern. I just want to make sure, because I don't believe this concern here is really safety, because I think we are, and I think if there was a motion made, if this is how it went that way, it would have to be clear that the generator would have to be at least 5 feet. I think we would owe that to the fire marshal. But I think really the consideration is whether or not we're willing to allow the generator via a variance in the side yard via, as opposed to what the ordinance requires, and that's, in the rear yard. So I just wanted to confirm.
Are there windows on this wall?
They are fixed.
Oh, there are windows.
If I could, let me throw something else out there. So I will tell you that in Royal Oak, we did have this circumstance come up where we had, the fumes were setting off the house systems. Royal Oak, what we had was like these houses that are jammed together. They're like tunnels, and the fumes can't get out. Not only that, but it was a house from like the 1940s. So I would think with, Tyvek sealants, a little bit more open area, a house like this might be less susceptible to it than something maybe over by Adams or the east side of town.
Listen, we're not questioning the quality of the builder, but I'm assuming there's soffit venting, there's, other things, and it isn't our job to risk lives of citizens by speculating on where it might come in. I mean, you have the AC units maybe near here. I don't know if they are drawing in, again, I'm not, the technicalities of it. The 5 feet, I agree with Mr. Canvasser. If we're at 5 feet and this was an existing non-conforming AC unit, you would not be forced to move it. So if we consider this existing because we believe the permit was properly submitted and approved, but the generator was never put in, then I could see one arguing an appeal that would say we approve based on an existing non-conforming ordinance for an existing AC unit, if that's the argument. If the city's saying it was never permitted and that the only permit they've ever seen was post-ordinance, then I think that's a different perspective, but I think that's the question.
So there is our green tag from the approval.
Well, approval of the gas line or the electric is not a permit approval for a generator.
That is for the generator electric.
Right, for the electric.
Yes.
But that electric could also serve for other things, correct? There's no other,
That's the only reason there was there to do under.
no, I hear you, but could that electrical have served for an outdoor kitchen, an outdoor, freezer, anything else?
No. There's 20 pipes there for the generator, and that's what they were called out for.
Right. I hear what you're saying. I'm just also hearing the city say there was no permit approved prior to the new ordinance for a generator specifically, even though you're saying that the permit process was different then than it is now.
Our permit was approved after the ordinance. It was approved in June.
Right, after the ordinance changed, right. Very good. Any other questions for the appellant? Seeing none, thank you for your time, sir. In the audience, which really is just the appellants and our alternate, or online, on Zoom, anybody else have a comment specifically about this appeal that's not affiliated with this appeal? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Board members. Mr. Miller, sir.
I would move to not approve 309 Arlington. I understand the particulars and difficulties of this situation, and I went through somewhat similar situation myself with my generator, but I think the problem here is if we approve this, we would need to overrule the combined recommendations and restrictions set by the City of Birmingham, the generator manufacturer, and the Birmingham Fire Department. And these guidelines are based on safety issues. And for us to assume that liability is beyond me in terms of being able to approve this request. And again, based on the safety issues for the homeowner and for the adjacent homes. So again, I believe that this is well beyond the reasonable hardships that this board can even consider, let alone approve. And again, it's all based on safety. And if there were to be a situation, a safety situation with this generator in this home, and we had approved something beyond the recommendations of the city, the manufacturer, and the fire department combined, I think that that would provide a very difficult and dangerous situation and a dangerous path for the board to go down. So for those reasons, I would turn down this appeal, and I believe that the 4 prongs, I'm not sure that they really apply to this situation. It's more about specific dimensional property, but I think that to do substantial justice to the property owner and the general public, we should deny this request. And it is an issue that does relate specifically to public health, safety, and welfare. And the hardship here is the moving of landscaping, and I don't think that's an unnecessary hardship in terms of the overriding safety issues here. So again, for those reasons, I would move to deny.
Second.
We have a motion to deny and a second. Do we have any additional discussion? Mr. Kona, sir.
Yeah, I can't support the motion. My problem is it sounds like they were partially approved, or they had the intent of doing this and were guided thinking that this was okay. The biggest issue I see is not the distance from the building, because the last one we approved was 5 feet from the building, and this one is 5 feet from the building, both sides of the garage and the house. And if this was the back of the house, like the last case, it was 5 feet away from the back of the house, there'd be no issue with this. So to me, it's not a distance or a safety issue. It is the rear location issue, and I think that is a unique circumstances in this case. Their special condition is that they were kind of caught in between the change and were partially approved on one part of it and were caught on the second part, and now they're here, and I think it's safe that, in my opinion, the distance is meeting the standard, and the code also states that non-conforming generators may be continued, and this is beyond what the non-conforming generators currently have to abide by. So I don't feel it's an issue allowing this particular unique case to be approved.
Interesting. Mr. Canvasser.
I'm not going to support the motion. I agree with Mr. Kona. I don't believe this is a health, safety, and welfare issue, because the placement here is 5 feet from the principal building or accessory building, which is what the code requires. So we're not talking about a proximity to the building issue. The fire marshal, is, and the city through its passage of the orders, has determined that 5 feet is the safe issue. So I don't think we're talking about an issue here in terms of proximity to living quarters and the principal issue. We're talking about the side yard versus the rear yard. I think the fact that there are green cards that have generator electrical on them, tends to lean in the applicant's favor here. Certainly, I think they were justified in relying on those green cards in terms of proceeding with this project and the fact here. And, I think there also could be argument that they're caught in no man's land here in terms of how this was built and how this thing progressed during the course of a change of an ordinance. But ultimately, because we don't have a safety issue as determined by the distance, I can get behind putting this in the side yard. So I will not approve the motion.
Mr. Riding?
I'm going to move to approve. I mean, we've got the fire marshal saying he does not recommend that we put this in here. Now, I don't see how we can overrule what the city's expert says with regards to this. I understand all the arguments that have been made. I understand these modern generators are perhaps different than what we've seen in the past, but I'm going to I agree with approving the motion simply based on the fact that we have our city expert telling us not to do this.
So I'm going to support the motion. I feel as if you want to submit a permit in a particular time when you're submitting and you show a pool on the plan and you show a pergola on the plan and you show a generator on the plan, that doesn't necessarily lock you in to installing that where it's at unless you actually do the work. And because the appellant and the city says this application was put in after the ordinance changed, and we have the fire marshal recommending this particular new ordinance, and the generator isn't installed, so it is not an existing non-conforming situation, I can't see any other way but to support the motion. So from my perspective, I will support the motion. We have a motion to deny. Can we please call the roll?
John Miller,
Yes.
Kevin Hart,
Yes.
Carl Corona,
No.
Jason Canvasser,
No.
Ron Ready,
Yes.
Dick Lilly,
Yes.
Eric Mormorell.
Yes. Your motion's denied. Sorry. As I mentioned previously, the fifth case will be postponed, so we are done with our appeals for the night. Do we have any other business, Mr. Zilke?
No, we do not.
Very good. Anybody in the audience or online like to speak on behalf of anything not on our agenda tonight? Seeing none?
I have a question.
Please.
Is our regular meeting next month going to happen the same Tuesday? I know this one was changed.
I think next month.
Are we still second Tuesday next month?
Second Tuesday is Veterans Day.
I think it's the third Tuesday, to be honest. It is on the 18th, it'll be the third Tuesday.
Third Tuesday next month.
Send us an email.
I will send you an email just to follow up.
All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned.